I want to know about the Cozine and Tarver Funeral Home.
Okay, this business was started in 1933 by Robert Cozine, along with his wife, Miss Vietta Cozine. And he passed in 1957, the summer of 57. My dad was working for them at the time, was the licensed mortician. And he and Miss Vietta took over from 57 on until she passed in 1987, where Dad took full ownership of it. He changed the name then. It used to be Cozine Funeral Home on that. And he changed the name, keeping the legacy of the Cozine involved, changing the Cozine and Tarver Funeral Home. And it was that way up until around 2000. I had it incorporated. It's Cozine and Tarver Funeral Home Incorporated now. But Dad and ran it up until his death. And before he died, he wanted us, asked if we would keep it open, which put a lot of pressure on us. Because again, I didn't plan on being in this business.
So tell me, who was Miss Burdine Tarver? Tell me more about her.
My mother, we called her Madeira. Okay. She is from Lone Oak, Texas. And she started out as a beautician. And she was part of the local, I think it was 8 African-American beauticians here. They had a beautician club. I was one of the original founders. Ella Mae Washington, Miss Lorraine Bray, Frankie Doris, Irma Jean Christian, Hughleen Williams, and Dorothy Taylor. All were there. They just about all of them except Frankie Doris has passed now. But Madeira went from beautician to nursing. She went to LVN school, and she worked at Greenville Hospital and retired there. I don't forget exactly when she retired, but she worked there for 20, almost 30 years through my school and that. She worked alongside Daddy after she retired with this business, doing the hair for the deceased and just helping where she could on that. And Daddy started out in Neelam. Well, his family was from Quitman, Texas, and they moved to Neelamville, and where both my mom and Dad finished at St. Paul on that, St. Paul High School. And Daddy got his passed the state board on his 16th birthday for mortician, and he's been in the business since.
And you said your parents instill value in.
Oh yeah. Well, that first of all, if you get education, nobody can take that from you. Okay. So they made sure we got that. Said you got that to stand on. Because see, they made us work too. All of us had jobs growing up. And I went to the cotton patch. I was the youngest one, and I went to the cotton patch on that. And you value the dollar. You just didn't throw it away on sneakers, you know. So you hung on to it after you worked for it on that.
So what was it like living with the Cozine name?
Well, it was Tarver on that, but it's still the same thing. Daddy made sure, you know, his name was representing you, and you weren't gonna screw it up. You know, and back in the day, it was like I said, and you heard people say it takes a village. All around this part is called Darktown. You do anything on that, the older people called. They were watching you, and your parents knew when you came back home. So you come in, if you know you done something wrong, you tipping and wait, and you said, yeah, they'd have called on that. So, and they made sure that my mom and them, when they called, you got it, regardless if they were wrong or not. You know, they taught you to respect that, and you respect your elders. You know, when you saw them, you spoke to them, you polite. You may, you know, get mischievous after they turn their back. But if they caught you, you know, they'll call and you learn next time, I'm not going to do that, you know. So, because we got discipline on that. And it made us a better person on that, you know, because, you know, and you see why now. I didn't understand. My mom used to say it hurt her more than it hurt me. And I'm saying, no way. You know, you getting a whooping. But I can see now that they were doing it for our betterment.
I want to know, working with the family, what was that like when you had to go and help your dad?
That was tough, because I thought of this is what I wanted to do, and it started out with my brother. As I said before, when this business first started, us growing up, they didn't have Greenville EMSs. The funeral home did all of the emergency service, transporting to the hospital. Even people that wasn't emergency, if they had to have a cot, we went to the house, carried them to the hospital, took them back home on that. And Daddy didn't have much help. We were his help. And he started out, my brother was old and strong enough that he went, and when my brother went off to school, as I said, he came back and said, I'm not doing this. It was on me. And when it come time for me to graduate, I said, yeah, I'm not doing this either. And I went off to school. So Daddy had to hire some people. He had quite a few people helping him. Roy Lee, Warren, Johnny L. Williams, Ram Davis, just a bunch that was helping. In fact, Keith started out over here. Keith Colzine, that got Grace and Mercy. He got his license on my daddy.
I'm gonna get off just a little bit, because I noticed at some of the funeral homes, they have the guys marching in and doing the.
We don't dance. I can tell you right now, when they requested, I told them we don't dance. Putting it up on your shoulders and all that. That's my greatest nightmare, of somebody slipping and falling with the casket on that. But no, we try to stay traditional. That's what Daddy did. Daddy didn't do the fancy steps and all that. The young people like that. Most older people don't. And I'm not gonna try to impress anybody that, because it's really not about us. When you're doing something like that, you trying to perceive that it's you and not the family. The family is one that we lifting up, okay, not us. And when you dancing, you kind of bringing the camera to you, and it shouldn't be on us. In fact, as long as you don't see us, that's the way we like it, that we in the background, you don't see anything of us, you just seeing the family. But no, we don't dance.
That was my question.
Yeah. I've seen them on that, and I can tell you can have some nightmares, because they, even on the internet, you see some instances where they drop the casket, and man, it's something you don't recover from. I think on that. So there's no need of putting yourself in that position if you don't have to. Some people require, but I just tell them that we can't do it. I'm too old for it anyway.
Yeah. Has it been difficult working with the city on any issues?
Greenville's Greenville.
I know.
Okay. We had a time, but we worked through it when I expanded that parking lot. I wanted to put a wrought iron fence, the fence you see there. And see, this is in a neighborhood, and we had to get a waiver, but they didn't want to do it, because they wanted a 4-foot fence. Well, 4-foot fence ain't gonna keep anything out of your business on that. So they sent me through. I had to replat the whole block here and on Wright Street on that. I had to came back from Houston for 4 different council meetings. Okay. And up and down, back and forth, different requirements, but it took about a year, but I was persistent. Had to do landscaping around. It was all kind of stuff, and I'm looking at right across the street was a higher fence, and it was falling over. And I'm saying, this is going to be wrought iron. It's going to be nice, but they eventually approved it, but not without a lot of, but we made it. So, and it's been no problem since.
But I want one more story. Tell John, how did you get your name?
I grew up tough.
I believe you.
I know the words to a boy named Sue. I was named, believe it or not, after my grandfather. My mother's dad. And everybody growing up, elementary school was brutal. With named Sherry. But high school was fine, because I had so many fights growing up in elementary school. Everybody settled. But my granddaddy had 2 brothers, so my great grandmother probably wanted a girl because she only had 3 boys, but I know my mom didn't want one because she had 1 boy and 2 girls already. I made the even set. So she named me after her father. His name was Sherry Mallard, and she named me Sherry Miss Vieta. Cosine named me Leon. So that's what my name is, Sherry Leon Tarver.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I go by. A lot of people say, do you go by something? I told them that's what my mom named me. And that's what I'm going by. I ain't changing it.